Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 263. Today, it's going to be a bunch of TBC talk as TBC is getting nearer. We found some really interesting data that might be hinting towards potential pre patch dates, and we will also, of course, be talking about the beta speculation as well. On top of that, we will jump into a little bit of 9.05 discussions and also look at the Wandering Ancient Mount. Before we get into anything though, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Annie, or also known as Annie Fuchsia, and I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch, playing lots and lots of World of Warcraft most of the time. My co-host is the lovely Perculia.
Hi everyone, I'm Perk. I run Wowhead and I am joined by Brightpaw, our brand manager for Wowhead. He's being very well behaved and staying here for the start of the show. And I do a lot of behind the scenes management and organizing of news and guides and features, so it's nice to do the show and have you see my face for a change each week. As Annie mentioned, we have some TBC hype brewing with data mining, and we also have some 905 cleanup, which involved the Wandering Ancient Mount and a few other interesting things we hadn't highlighted last week, and a kind of humorous follow-up to the Hall of Fame discussion from last week as well.
Oh yeah, that was so funny.
Yes.
For people who didn't see, these shows do go up on YouTube, and last week we talked about how apparently there were some interviews going around, some interview phone calls, or not sure if they're specifically phone calls, but interviews going around to the players who were playing in the guilds that guard Side and Athreus on Mythic, and they were being asked questions on the fight itself, like what happens in this phase, to see whether the accomplishment was legitimate or not. And it's quite funny to read those screenshots with the different questions and discussions on it.
Yeah, Brightpaw was not present for the Mythic fight, so he's flounced off because he didn't know the answers to them.
Oh no, don't test me right now. I'm not ready for this.
Yeah. But yeah, why don't we start off with the TBC stuff, because like to an outsider it might be like, okay, this is kind of boring, but a lot of people are actually really hype about it when you connect the dots. Like we were having a discussion before the show, Winnie, where you're like, oh, like, like what's the big deal, what's coming when, and I was explaining it. So
yeah, because it gets a bit messy. Yeah, because you hear from one part, it's like, oh, TBC something something this week, and then, oh, TBC something something in May, and then TBC something here and there. Oh, some things to do with TBC is already visible. So it does get confusing. One of the first things I can pull up here are some assets that have become visible. We got some of the you can see that some of these are in is it Chinese? I'm not sure if it's Chinese.
Yeah, that is Chinese.
Yeah. And yeah, different logos coming up for TBC, getting ready for the game being launched, which is quite hype, because then you really start feeling that it's, real, like it's happening. And then we got this screenshot as well from the PTR, which shows the logo of the Burning Crusade up in the corner to the right, and then this big little box here to the left that shows coming soon Burning Crusade, and gives you a little bit of information, or more like a brief words on being able to choose between playing Burning Crusade or Classic.
Can I just say, I'm so surprised they went with that logo. Like it looks so weird next to Classic.
Yeah,
I don't
Burning
know.
Crusade,
kind of Photoshop.
Classic.
I don't know. It doesn't look. I thought the logo was a fake when I saw that at first.
Oh no, I do see
like
what
font,
you mean.
It's like Comic Sans. Like it's not very professional looking, and even the classic one looks more like sleek retro. But
it's a bit too much.
Yeah, just to put the piecing the timeline together, because I know when these shows focus on retail. So 12 days ago, there was an internal alpha build discovered, which was encrypted, so no one could data mine or play it. And this was something that was likely for Blizzard employees to play as like a special alpha. And then 10 days ago, there was a WoW Classic survey asking if people would be okay with more changes on the classic era servers, hinting that like maybe after TBC launch they would go back and do interesting stuff with vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 days ago, we data mined the assets and it just showed on the screen, which shows that they're, gearing up for the pre-patch when you can decide what to do with your character, as well as a really interesting global string. And a global string is something that, like, it's like the text you see in key places on the website, like, when you log in and it's like, do Castle Nathria, like get Valor points, like that's a global string, or like
Mm-hmm.
anything you see in those red buttons. And there was this one really interesting one added that was called Burning Crusade Transition Default Clone Date May 18, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And the clone date refers to what happens when you can say, okay, let me take my classic character and duplicate or clone it and put it on Burning Crusade. So that has gotten a lot of people talking, because Blizzard has not told us when the beta is starting, when the pre-patch is starting, or when even TBC is coming out. So this is the first date we've heard of. It could be a fake, but May 18th is actually on a Tuesday, which is when Blizzard usually drops stuff. So it could be real. Like if it was like a
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, you'd be like, oh, it's just, like some, it's a troll, but this could be real.
Yeah, I think that's also a really, really good point. Looking at the date itself, May 18, and looking on the weekday and seeing that it's a Tuesday, um, kind of makes sense. So it's very possible that we will maybe from that date on be able to start transitioning our characters, which would then imply that it's potentially a pre-patch date.
Yeah, and it's not just the date where you get to decide what to do. Like the pre-patch is really big for a lot of people because the pre-patch is when you could make the Horde Paladins and Alliance Shaman, and I believe that's also when like PvP gear is easier to get as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if you were a character that's returning, you could gear up easier than if you were trying to gear up right now. So a lot of people, want to come back for the pre-patch to roll those characters, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe get a new head start.
Oh yeah,
Um,
pre-patch is going to be a
yeah.
big deal because, like you said, people who have been away from the game will come back. There'll be smaller adjustments of catch up. The boost might be available already at that point, or what do you
Yeah,
think?
I think, yeah, I think that, I think so. Because like if you look at Shadowlands retail, whenever they talk about, systems changes, they do the system changes in the pre-patch.
Exactly.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially like if you can activate clones, it makes sense to be like, okay, well, can I do a race transfer? Can
Mm-hmm.
I, pay for more? So I think that's when they would do all that. And this also ties into the timing of everything because if a lot of people are speculating that 9-1 could be June, based on the arena schedule and some interviews Blizzard has done being like, oh, way later in the spring. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's not too much to do on retail, but if they let everyone play pre-patch for free and they let you get like one free 58 character boost, then I could see how that could be like a thing they want people to do as they wait for 9-1.
Yeah, and I think if 9-1 comes out in June, this will keep most people busy to at least check out the servers and everything. Even people who don't intend on playing TBC will be interested to just log in to see what's going on. So I think it could definitely make sense, and it gives a at least a 2 week window of where you can play around in TBC, and then well, not in TBC, in pre-patch, and then you
Yeah.
decide whether you want to continue later on and play TBC or not. Um, and especially if nothing is happening in Shadowlands at that point, it's the perfect time for people to test and see, am I interested in this or not? Because if it happens at the same time as something goes on in Shadowlands,
Like
you're less
Nax.
likely. What's that? Sorry?
like Nax in phase
Like
6.
Nax, exactly. I was gonna say that
Yeah.
too. So for myself, I was playing classic and retail alongside each other the whole expansion time until Nax, because Nax came out almost at the same time as Shadowlands, and a new expansion always brings so many new things. Of course, 9.1 won't be as big of a deal as Shadowlands, but it's still the same idea that you kind of want to play the place where it's most hype right now because you don't want to end up being behind. So if you have a two week at least window of playing pre-patch, getting your characters ready, then that's great. Gives you time to decide whether you want to play it or not without feeling like, well, I should be grinding my anima or something on retail.
Yeah.
Which feels
I
good.
also feel that like a lot of casual people picked up classic, but then when the PvP kicked in and the world, especially like the world PvP, or people got busy, a lot of casuals didn't actually get to hit 60.
Oh yeah.
They stopped in their 50s. But now if they get a free 58 boost, they might actually want to, try out some dungeons or raids, or actually get to 60 and try out the end game stuff they never got to experience with the leveling grind.
The boost though, it's not free, is it?
Everyone gets one boost, I believe, for free.
Really? Because I
Let
thought it
me.
was it's one boost available for payment. Or maybe I'm
Uh,
wrong. I think that's how it was.
uh,
I think it's
um,
max one
yeah.
boost per account, and you also have to pay for it.
Oh, oops, sorry. Yes, they will allow players to play. Sorry, I must that. Um,
One boost for free sounds good
yeah,
though. So
this
hey
this
Blizzard,
boost, yeah,
I
this
I
boost will
like
not be
that.
usable on classic era realms, new Blood Elf, or Draenei races. In
Yeah,
addition, players will be limited to boosting one character per account.
yeah,
Further details, including pricing and availability, will be announced at a later date.
yeah.
Um,
So it's
but
going
I
to be
can still
paid.
see people. Yeah, I can. I mean, if it's like, I wonder if they'll do something like, oh, pay for a character boost and you get a pet along with it or something.
Or do you think they would do that? I don't know.
I
It,
don't know.
the thing is, the
Some
expansion itself is
changes.
free, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
old.
Mm-hmm.
So I do know that a lot of people are up to pay for that one boost, just to have an
Right.
extra character, or maybe even use it as a main character. So I think it's okay, but it would be nice if we could all get one free
Yeah.
boost.
I could see them bundling it in with like, I don't know, like 6 month payment, or bundling it in with the mount they do, or a pet,
Which
for
only goes
past
to
things that they've done.
retail, or
Yeah, I mean, like getting like, what they did for BlizzCon Line, they had that, leveling themed pet after Burning Crusade,
yeah.
uh, that you can only use on retail, but it was obviously, themed
Mm-hmm.
after the announcement.
Yeah,
Um,
I could see that happening. I don't think they'll add anything in game to the TBC realm itself, though, right?
I think that could get really sticky,
Yeah.
if they did that.
Yeah. They
I
probably,
do
yeah,
think
they would potentially add it to retail itself then. And maybe, as you said, as some kind of bundle for buying multiple months in one go, then maybe you could get something like that.
yeah, I mean, if it is for free, like, you are basically paying to play Shadowlands if, you have TBC. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it makes sense where you get like a little token of doing something with TBC.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to just like correct myself in saying that, yes, even though there is not a free level 58 boost, I do still think that the pre-patch will entice people to return, because
Oh,
if
yeah.
you were like close to max level and then you didn't do anything because finding groups was difficult, um, you can, gear up more easily, or maybe like you have more of your friends around, so it's more fun playing with friends than, like complete strangers. So I still think it will get people back into playing more than Nax, which felt kind of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I also do think that a lot of people will consider getting a boost, just because it gives a head start, which is very much needed if you're planning to level to max. Because if you level from the beginning, and especially if you don't have a lot of time because you're working or got family, and then it's hard to decide to level something from scratch. So I could see people deciding to just buy that one boost, since it's offered, and tick it off as kind of like, well, this will be my payment for buying the expansion in a way.
Right.
But yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll be surprised and get a free boost anyways. Unlikely, but
Oh yeah, so going back to the timeline, I think if we
Mhm.
get free patch in May and then like 9-1 in June, I think that we could end up with, a late summer release date for Classic again, because they want people to pay attention to 9-1 for a while.
Yeah.
And I hope
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't overlap with how delayed 9-1, to be compared to launch. And then, you almost find yourself in another August situation where you take advantage of, Labor Day and all that for TBC.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have to wonder if the COVID restrictions being loosened will affect any of this because, around the time this year is, it's obviously really sad, but all of a sudden everyone was staying at home and we saw based on our traffic numbers, a lot more people were playing WoW, and then Blizzard put those buffs in the game to make it easier to play WoW, like the experience and rep boosts. Uh,
Yep.
and I feel like as vaccines roll out, people are going to be obviously gamers will still spend a lot of time at home, but I feel like people will make an effort to, I don't know, like see their families after a while, or maybe being inside of your straight is like too much, so you'd want to do something outside. So I feel like we might have this dip where people just really want to go outside when the restrictions loosen, and then
I
they'll
definitely
go
think
back to
so too.
normal.
Yeah, especially people who may be gamers but still enjoy going outside. People
Yeah,
like that exist too.
yeah.
Not everyone is just playing 24/7. I think a lot of those people end up playing a lot less. Going from maybe the potential sudden 5-6 hours a day because of working from home and not traveling anywhere to maybe down to 2 hours or something. And I think with the amount of people that might have that change in lifestyle again, it might be visible even in the stats. For example, for Wowhead, for Blizzard, for any gaming company really. So it's going to be interesting to see if it's going to be very, very, very noticeable.
Which could also tie into maybe why Blizzard hasn't given dates yet, because they want to see trends. Like July 4th, for example, is a big holiday, and a lot of the branding around the US is like, let's get the vaccines done by July 4th so we can all have like our barbecues. So if people are in
Mm.
good shape, you might see like a lot of people going outside. And historically, Blizzard uses July 4th as a time to assume gamers go inside, and they tend to drop like new patches around then,
Mm-hmm.
thinking people have a few days off, they're going to stay at home. But now it could be like, oh my God, like I have a few days off and I can travel. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
let's finally take a break.
Mm-hmm.
But it could also work in Blizzard's favor, because then people would say, oh, I definitely want to pay for a boost and save some hours of leveling. And now that I have less time, I need to make that count.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's also true. Mm-hmm.
all interesting trends.
Yep.
But yeah, going back to the first date that we need to know, when is the beta? And we had this interesting, so everything I've been mentioning are like steps that need to happen before a beta goes live, such as, the employees have their alpha before we get the alpha. And another step happened today, actually, where the product catalog, there was the product called, WoW Classic Beta, and the name of that Blizzard updated today to say Burning Crusade Classic Beta,
Mm-hmm.
which, we still can't play it, but the fact that, they've renamed the project to be like, okay, the vanilla WoW beta, that is over now for Burning Crusade, that's another step that they are, updating all the necessary things to be ready for the beta.
Mm-hmm. So it
Um,
basically means that we're getting closer. We're getting closer to actually being out. And then the question
yeah.
is, how close are we?
So, I mean, there's been a lot of speculation it could be tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, I think it's a mix of stuff. Like, it's logical. There could be something this week because 905 was not very big, and that was last week. And, there's no more renown. So it would make sense to make people hype about a beta.
But
Um,
will beta come out as they announce it, or do you think beta will come with a date? Like, do you think tomorrow Blizzard would be like, "Oh, beta's out now, go," or do you think it's
I
going to be
think,
like, "Yeah, beta's out on the 20th."
yeah, I think that I feel like I don't know if they do things on Tuesday. I was almost thinking Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, like it's usually they do an announcement
On the
that something will
Tuesday.
be up soon.
Mm-hmm.
Like even with retail, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, like Ian is discussing E3 before it goes up on the PTR." Like they
Mm-hmm.
did like the YouTube videos they did.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they could maybe announce something this week, but have it be a few days later. And I still think they're going to hold off announcing a release date
Oh yeah,
um,
for sure.
because, COVID, like I think Blizzard is working at home until September or something
Mm-hmm.
like that in the fall. So I think I could see them announcing pre-patch. I could see them starting beta testing, and then I could see them announcing TBC at a later date, especially because if they want to try things out like some changes, uh, you need testing for that to see what the implications are if limit drums or give paladins, both faction racial stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then you definitely need
So
more
yeah,
feedback.
yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, there's less like levels to test out and initial content. Um, and figuring out. I know a lot of Classic was trying to get as many people on to test something to test out their
Like
technology and
servers,
starting
yeah.
tools,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got most of that sorted out now. But it seems like if they're trying to test out like actual game balance and different new decisions, then that still requires some testing.
Mm-hmm.
And
So if
maybe they do something. So go ahead.
no, you go ahead first.
I was going to say that like we were saying that it seemed good in TBC when they gave those like free weekends that everyone could play.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe with how the Shadowlands kind of has a gap going on right now with stuff, maybe it could be welcome to bring some of that back for people that you know uh, are got the renown and looking for something else to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
What I
yeah,
was
that
gonna
go
say,
ahead with yeah.
or more like a question. So if we get to the beginning of this again and talk about the beta and this week question mark, if it does come out this week, do you think it's going to be some kind of announcement tomorrow and then we're able to play it on Thursday as the first wave?
Yeah, I think that would be more polished.
Mm-hmm.
And it also just gives people like a little bit of time to, like just make sure that like, their content is hype, rested and
Mm-hmm.
what ready to do a lot, and like major outlets that don't usually cover WoW full time
Mm-hmm.
could have a little bit of time to start preparing stuff on it as well, like sites that aren't WoW but like general gaming sites, they tend to focus when there's like a big event coming out, like
Mm-hmm.
like an IGN or something.
Mm-hmm.
So um and I think it's I think that sometimes Blizzard uses data mining to build hype, but I think that it would just be more polished if they could do the final announcement on their own terms, as opposed to like Wowhead is, data mined a sentence saying,
Yeah.
Burning
Mm-hmm.
Crusade launch on so and so, because no one knows if that's, true or not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but yeah, I think that we could get an announcement and be later in the week,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe after like a week or two of TBC, when the hype starts to go down, they put 9-1 on the PTR. And then when the hype goes down for 9-1, then they have the pre-patch come out,
Yep.
and they just kind of go back and forth with the content for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Um, is the alpha out right now? So I see a comment in the chat by Chilled
right.
Chaos who says, "Wasn't tomorrow supposedly family and friends?" So, we're talking about the beta itself, right? So alpha is probably already out, and maybe there is some kind of very exclusive thing among people who are working there, or how does that normally work?
So normally, I mean, obviously, I'm not a Blizzard employee, but from the
No.
data mining and from what we've um, Blizzard employees get to play a game in advance,
Mm-hmm.
obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and that's more of a technical alpha where everything is like it's NDA. You can't stream it or
Yeah.
discuss it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rough. It's just for employees. When we data mine the thing called the internal alpha going up, that usually mean it's like a special server that only employees can be flagged
Mm-hmm.
to access.
Okay.
So it could be possible that as of 12 days ago, the employees were able to start doing some things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but everything we've seen now that the public could potentially access has been called Burning Crusade beta. There's been no
Mm-hmm.
um, alpha mentioned. I think Shadow. I know in the past with retail, like there was a lot of significance when like you data mine the alpha, and like very few people can play and stream the alpha, and then it moves to beta where it's more polished and the beta invites are more plentiful.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like with Burning Crusade, it's just going to be um, you know, the thing that everyone can play is going
Mm-hmm.
to be a beta, not a friends and family.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
that's a really interesting conversation. Could talk about it
yeah,
all day.
and
Look
maybe
at all the
by
strings.
maybe by next show we will have the answers to many of these things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the funny thing too. You wait a week and suddenly you know everything.
Yeah,
But that's the fun in speculating, right?
yeah. I mean, it was a little suspenseful how Online, that was just a month ago, and we didn't have any of these dates, and they seemed to like disorganized with like the panel being at a different time than
Mm-hmm.
intended.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like even the key art, like the guy did the key, was like, oh, like I thought this was the final art. They used a different like version of my art. So it does seem like maybe they're still scrambling to put some final touches on things or aren't
Mm-hmm.
sure how to present stuff
Mm-hmm.
if they haven't announced dates yet. But yeah, let's hope it's really soon.
Indeed. One more thing on the topic of the TBC beta is that there was an update this morning where there was was it a string change or a name change
Yeah,
where
that was the name change I was just mentioning. How they it's like, okay, get rid of the old and the new.
gotcha. All right. All right.
So,
Yeah, in that case
but
that
yeah,
is covered as well.
yep.
That's it on the
I
beta
need
stuff.
to reply to something really quickly so you can
Go
talk
for it.
about
Mm-hmm.
some of the 9.5 stuff and show the funny picture.
Sounds good. I'll show you guys the beautiful color variations of the Wandering Ancient. I feel like
Oh
that's a
yeah,
good
you can
way
do
to
that.
start 905.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of visuals, so you guys can look at them as Perk is quickly doing her thing on the side. So the
Yeah.
Wandering Ancient is the special mount that was given to all players for free. You just log into the game and you have it available if yeah, since 9.05. And the special thing about this mount was that it was part of a little competition, I guess you could call it. There was a voting system, a poll, where 4 mounts only as an idea were described, and we could all vote for which mount we want to that we want Blizzard to create. And the Wandering Ancient was the one that won and is therefore now in the game itself. The special thing about the mount is actually there's multiple special things, but one of the special things about the mount is that it changes color depending on season. And this is the winter color. This is the one that is visible right now if you're logged in. And I have some other colors to show off here. So we got this one here, which is a sort of reddish orangish color. I would say this is probably fall or autumn.
I'm good now, by the way.
Okay,
So
we'll come
I
back.
can give commentary. Yes.
Yeah. So we got the fall version, which is actually really pretty. I like it. I'm not a big fan of the winter one. I think it looks a bit boring, but it makes sense. You know, trees do look kind of boring, I guess, during wintertime, unless you have a lot of snow. If you have a lot of snow, they do look really pretty. So it makes sense. And then we got the let's see, we got the summer version, which is very, very, very green. Just looking at it makes me miss summer, actually. I want summer right now.
It's funny because the way the weather works here, like this is the green season right now, and summer is like, oh, the forest is on fire.
Oh yeah, that's
So
true. Yeah, because of
yeah,
your yeah. That's actually a
yeah.
good
So this
point.
is I yeah. So it's weird how winter's like summer in California.
Yep,
Um, but yeah, I think summer is as well.
it is really pretty. And then we have this one, which is the spring version, which is starting to become green, but just not as richly green yet. But it's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah.
So another special thing about this mount is that it's got a special mount special, a special mount special. Oh,
Many mount specials.
many mount specials. It's got a variation of mount specials, and we've got three little clips here to show them off to you guys. I'll show the
Yeah.
first one here. As you click it, you see the snow that spawns on him, and then he shakes it off, and the snow drops on the ground. It's so cute, actually. And we've got this in the different. We got three different variations of this. So that was the ice version or snow version. Then we got the acorn version here. There we go. Acorns dropping down. And last,
Save the best for last.
of course, saving saving the best for last, we got Pepe. When people first told me about this on stream, I was trying the mount special so many times and I couldn't get Pepe, so I thought I was being trolled. I was like,
Oh
you know
no.
what? You guys are just making this up. You are making me spam the mount special 20 times, and there's actually no Pepe, but you're just making fun of me. You're just sitting there in chat, Pepe laughing at me like she's lacking the critical information. No, but apparently it is. There is a festive Pepe that spawns on the tree as you click it. And it's completely
Yeah.
random, so you could be unlucky like me and never see Pepe, or you could be lucky and see him straight away. And if you notice, the Pepe has a little Santa hat, so it's
Yeah,
the
it's
Santa
Christmas
version.
Pepe.
Yeah, it's Christmas
Yeah.
version of Pepe, so it's actually really nice. I mostly only get the pine cones. Once I got the ice. Yep, you see. That could also be a thing. You could just be getting the non-Pepe ones all the time. But yeah, this
Yeah,
kind of
it's
brings up a. Or,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say that when we were doing the clip for this, we couldn't get the Pepe either. So we
Ah,
were just like waiting like a minute to be like spawn Pepe already.
Pepe, please, we want to see you. Show yourself.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say was noticing the Pepe and the ice snow, perhaps acorn too. Well, I guess you can find acorns almost year round, I suppose, but acorns falling. It gives the impression, right, that it seems these tree will have different animations depending on what
Mm.
season it is. So now the question is, what do you guys think will be the animations for the other ones? Like if we look at Pepe, for example, we see that he is specifically wearing the Christmas version. So we can perhaps expect Pepe to appear every season, but in different skins, so to speak. What do you think, Burke?
So I'm a big fan of Pepe's. I don't know if there's a spring Pepe, but I'm pulling up our Pepe guide right now to go costumes to see what makes sense. I think that I know he has the goggles one, and maybe that could be like summer Pepe. That could be a good like sunglasses Pepe. Um, I think that does he have a good fall one? Um,
Or maybe
yeah,
he
I'm
won't
not
be a
sure.
special Pepe. Maybe he'll be just Pepe. That's also
Yeah, I could
possible.
see like just Pepe for spring, like Pepe is making a nest. I could see that. And then like summer Pepe could be Strange Adventure Pepe, the Tangerine Traveler. Um, and then
Oh, we got Pirate Pepe right here, actually,
yeah, I
in
can
my
see
shelf.
Pirate Pepe. Yeah, maybe Pirate Pepe could be like fall Pepe because Pirate Day is in the fall.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's true.
or they could add more Pepes for various covenants.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what was funny? I'm linking this in um
The
the
document.
notes is here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, um, let's go through. There was an interesting tweet from 2016. There we go. Where Blizzard did a picture of Pepe in a wandering ancient NPC.
Oh,
So he could just be Pepe chilling on the ancient.
that's so funny. It's like this has
I
been.
know this predicted this, 5 years in advance. Pepe in the wandering ancient.
Yeah. Like, this is not a
So,
new idea. Here it is.
but yeah, so I think besides the Pepes, we could see, what could we see? I think that we could see like maybe you could throw Easter eggs in the spring, like Noble Garden stuff, or it could have a
Oh.
flower crown.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the summer it could be like a midsummer type thing, and maybe the fall would be, I don't know, a Brewfest accessory. I don't know if it's too much to have it kegs of beer on the ground.
Kegs.
Um,
That would
but
be
I,
funny.
I definitely think you could have, like some oversized leaves for the fall, because that's if the tree is trying to shake things off, it makes the most sense to have it throwing leaves on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the animations on the Legion Hunter artifacts, the flowering plants, and I think you could have some interesting animations where like the flowers are opening and closing on it in the summer.
Flowers on the tree.
Yeah, like like the updated, hunter bow, how it wasn't, just like a tiny pixelated flower, like petals opening and closing. I think you can use some
Mm.
of that technology on the
Mm-hmm.
summer version of the tree
Yeah, that's true. That would be
for,
really
like
cool.
the marksman and survival artifact.
Yeah. I could see in the
Um,
autumn, maybe big leaves falling off.
yeah, or like actual acorns, like not the winter pine cones, but regular acorns that are brown.
Oh,
Um,
there's a difference.
but yeah, like, and yeah, I also do you remember the TCG item Path of Darius? Like when you walked around, it would
Oh
have
yeah,
the
like it
flowers
gives you
behind
flowers.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see like maybe in the
Oh.
shakes, like little patches. I think that could.
Your voice is cutting off sometimes. I
Right,
can.
Paul? What did you do?
Maybe it's just the noise cancellation. So if you just bring your mic closer to yourself, I think that should be fine.
Okay, all right. It's now a little closer.
Okay. Yeah, it's
So
only very subtle moments where it cuts off like half a word. So it's not really
yeah.
bad, but I just noticed. So hopefully this helps. No, but that's a really good point. I could imagine having the tree shake and then you get all flowers around it, like a
Hmm.
circle.
Yeah.
That would be really pretty. Because there's a toy as well that does that, right? Not the TCG one, but the other one, which creates a little flower area around you.
I thought the Resto Druid artifact did that too,
Oh, maybe it
as like
does.
a special side effect. You had some greenery growing if you had the artifact. But yeah, I believe there's a toy as well, and there's several things where like little flowers or
Mm-hmm.
nature, wildlife follows you around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, I also think that isn't spring coming up in games, so we're gonna
Yeah.
figure out what spring is soon anyway, and
I heard
yeah.
it's March 21st, which is in less than a week. Is that true?
Oh wow, yeah. So I
So that
I'm
means our
not.
Wandering Ancient is gonna change a look very, very soon.
Yeah, and if you like using the mount, you need a transmog to go, your green instead of gray wandering ancient.
True. Yeah, you need to match transmogs. I think your mic is still cutting. Could you put it even closer to
Hmm.
yourself?
Um, it's a little. Let me move this up. It's right at the edge of the desk, so it might be difficult. Let's see.
Is it possible to turn it to face yourself?
Um, is this better? I'm moving up the threshold of it. Is this better?
Okay.
I have it turned towards myself now.
I think maybe that's better.
Okay, but yeah, it's like I'm super close. I'm like sitting forward, and it's close to me.
Okay.
So
Well, so far, I think it's great, actually. I haven't heard it cut.
okay.
So maybe that's good. Hopefully.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
that means
yeah.
we're probably going to be seeing some new animations for Wandering Ancient in less than a week. And it's going to be interesting to see what it's going to be. Maybe Pepe with no costume, maybe with a costume that feels fitting for the spring. And then maybe some flowers growing. Maybe a
Yeah.
flower version which is less blossomy, and then in the summer it's blossomed even more. Who knows? It's gonna be interesting to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. So pleasant surprise next week.
Yeah. And on
Um,
to other 905 things.
yeah. So we highlighted 905 a lot last week, but we also wanted to, discuss some things that were fun that people were talking about a lot. Patch went live. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that was really funny was the Castle Nathria NPC for repairs now has a big pile of gold behind him, which is our gold.
Yep.
So,
That's for
yeah,
wiping in the raid.
yeah,
He's become rich from us repairing all the time.
yep. So, that was just like a fun little thing. Obviously, this didn't take away from developers, doing class balance or anything major. It's really easy to add a pile of gold.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Um, this is something that mount collectors might be happy, such as yourself, to learn, Annie.
Yeah.
Uh, the missing mount has been found. Desires a battle Gorgon, and it is you need to be best friends with the Countess and do an Ember Court when she is really happy with you.
Yeah. Some more reasons to have alt and to cover all the different covenants in this specific example. It's picking up a Venthyr alt to go through all of the anima grinds, yay, to be able to unlock these. I'm actually working on it. I've got characters in every covenant, and I'm trying to just do the weekly things to slowly but surely, hopefully, start unlocking things. But yeah, that's always nice to know when new mounts are discovered. Like we had the one from the Necrolord one, where it drops from Tahanta, but only if you're above Renown 32. It was unknown for weeks where it's from, as it would be labeled to be from Tahanta, but it never dropped for anyone. And then as soon as we hit Renown 32, it started dropping. So always nice to discover where these mounts are from.
Yeah. Another fun update for collectors is that you can now purchase 5 marks of honor for 2,000 honor in
Ooh,
from purveyors,
you're
which is good
cutting
news.
out quite a bit
I don't
now.
know. It's
Yeah.
like super close. Is this maybe there's something with my
Maybe it's
internet?
not. Maybe it's a cable thing then. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, one sec.
But yeah, as Perk said, this has been now added to the game, so you can spend 2,000 honor to buy 5 marks of honor, which is, I suppose, it's a good change for PvPers because now you can actually use your honor for something. Because if you PvP a lot and you are fully geared, there is actually not much you can do with your honor. And what I would actually like to see is to be able to send your honor to an alt, because it's not really fun to sit on 15,000
I think
honor.
I fixed it.
Oh,
Is this fixed?
yeah, I think so. You sound so much better.
I think it changed it I just checked the settings and it had decided to use my camera as an input setting instead
Oh,
of the mic. So I'm very confused. But
okay, okay, cool. Welcome back,
yeah.
better voice Perk.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you sounded so different
yeah.
now. I didn't realize I didn't realize that the microphone quality was bad. It didn't sound very bad at all. It was just cutting, which was kind of like not very nice when you were talking. But that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's anyway. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know what was, there was like a Discord update that right before the show. But yeah, I'm glad that my microphone is working again.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, so
But yeah, so we were talking about the honor and that
Yeah.
you now have an outlet for your honor, which is the marks of honor. But admittedly, there's not that much you can do with marks of honor. So I'm still hoping and waiting for Blizzard to allow us to at least convert the honor from your main character to your ult, maybe with a 50% penalty or something, just to make it so that it's not completely useless. Because you're sitting there PvPing, you reach the 15,000 cap, there's nothing to spend it on, and it feels bad. And then meanwhile, you're on your ult, and you need at least 50,000 honor to upgrade all your gear, and it's gonna take forever. Ult gearing is really slow in PvP, so that's what I'm hoping to see at least.
I also think people that are into transmog, they can, get the ensembles from past expansions.
Yeah.
This can help speed it up as well.
Oh yeah, this is really good for that. So I PvP'd quite a bit in BFA 2, so I already got all my marks of honor and bought all the previous expansion transmogs. And I actually just recently realized that I'm missing some of the BFA ones because I didn't, play every spec and things like that. So I went back and bought all those ensembles too, and now I'm done. So I have nothing to spend my marks of honor on. I already bought every single ensemble. So what I want to see is, also not everyone is interested in cosmetics. I want to see moving honor from one character to an ult, even if there's some kind of penalty, 50% or whatever. I think that would be really good.
Yeah, so that was a nice thing that I don't think was in the patch notes, but it was still like a nice, all friendly, a good start.
Yeah.
Another improvement is that Oribos now has 2 more mailboxes. Again, not in the patch notes. And
nice quality of life.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like half of Oribos still doesn't have a mailbox, and then
I know.
There's like one of the new ones is pretty close to one of the old ones. But now to the west of Oribos, there is a mailbox, and that one seems pretty useful because
near the portal,
like
right?
half of Oribos didn't really have any. So yeah, that nice improvement. Wonder if we'll see less Brutosaurs as a result. Probably not, but it's still nice that there's more.
Well, it means you'll see Brutosaurs in more spots, right?
Yeah.
Now there will be 4 spots for the Brutosaurs. I have a quick map here for you guys. So the O is where we have the mailboxes already. Like Perk said, they're pretty much right next to each other. And then we have the new ones with X. One is still close to the old one, but we've got one on the opposite side, which... Is that the side of where the portals are?
I think so.
I think so.
Like one of the new ones is pretty close to the Great Vault, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I see one which is next to the vault, and I believe this one, unless the portals is in the south. So regardless, it's nice because it's on the opposite side of where the original mailboxes was. So that's always nice.
And yeah, there are many more updates, but one last one we wanted to highlight on the show was that there is more companion XP. The adventures that award bonus experience now offer a lot more right now. So, for example, one that used to award 1,500 experience now gives you 2,500 experience.
I need that. I was one of those people who progressed my campaign way too fast with my 1 OP follower and one follower and 4 of the OP, what are they called? Like the Night Fae one, the special Night Fae ones.
The
trappers.
The trappers.
Yeah. So I was one of those who spammed that, got done with my whole campaign, and then I'm sitting there like, wait, all my followers are really low level, and I'm no longer getting experience for the quests anymore, or for the missions. And then they did change that, so they brought back some of the 1,500 experience quests or missions, which was a little bit nicer, because it was quite harsh not having any experience missions at all. And then now they're buffing it to 2,500, so it's a welcome change.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still a weird patch to talk about because everything we're saying is bad, but it doesn't really add up to be like a meaty patch. I think that the Valor was definitely helping some people looking for upgrades, but I definitely feel like it didn't really hook new people into coming back. This was more of a, keep the hardcore core loyal people, logging in each week, so they don't all, drift off to other games. But usually when you think patch, you think like new things to do, but this was not exactly the case. It, pretty much just like fixing systems in between the content,
like solidifying the few things that do exist already.
Yeah.
And I saw a question in the chat. There's a campaign with a mission table ? Yeah, so basically when you have a mission where what's the mark that makes it clear it's part of campaign? There's something that labels it.
I think it's like a special like I know with the quest there's like the special graphics in the background. I think they look fancier depending on your covenant.
Helmet, valor symbol. There you go. So in some missions you can see something special, and when you progress those, you go to the next one, and as you progress them, you eventually come to the mount missions, which are part of this progression, which are basically level 60 quests. So as Night Fae, you were able to do them with your Dreamweaver and the Trappers, even at level like 30. And then you complete the campaign. And as you complete the campaign, you were no longer given XP missions because, well, now the mission table thinks that all your followers are 60, so you don't need them anymore. But you're sitting there with level 30 followers, and everything that you send on mission, it comes back with failure. So it was actually quite sad. So they brought back the XP missions, and now they've also buffed the XP missions, which is nice because I still need to level my followers. I think I'm in the mid 40s or something, and I need 60 for the achievements, so... Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So in other 905, last week we talked about how it seemed that some Chinese guilds were filling up the Hall of Fame by boosting characters, and then NetEase was
guilds, right?
Yeah, boosting guilds, and like NetEase was following up by calling up people from the guilds and quizzing them on the mythic mechanics. And some bans were maybe going out. And now we've learned that the Alliance Hall of Fame has been fixed. So the 16 guilds that were related to boosting have been removed of the Hall of Fame. And new guilds were added to take their spot.
Yep. They did, however, let the Crossrealm Mythic stay as Crossrealm Mythic.
Yeah, with 905, that went into effect. Exactly. Which still raises the question of, why is the Alliance and Hordes separate? Shouldn't it just be when 100 guilds reach Hall of Fame, it opens up? And really emphasizes the faction divide, how when you the boosted guilds, it took Alliance even longer to fill up the Hall of Fame compared to Horde, with the 100th guild on March 7th.
I think at the moment, because Alliance is so unpopular, it's okay to have the Hall of Fame take longer for Alliance, have them separate, because in a way, it's at least the only motivation you have as an Alliance guild to get on there and get that special title for your guild. However, I do think that people, or that both factions should unlock Mythic at the same time. So,
yeah,
or
I
Crossrealm
agree.
Mythic.
Yeah.
But maybe still put a percentage to be counted as a guild run for the Hall of Fame people. Or maybe have to make it so every single player has to be the same guild for it to end up there.
Yeah, or a certain percentage of it from the same guild. Like 80% or something like that.
Or maybe make it 100 even, because it is quite a big deal to get a Hall of Fame title. So maybe giving it... Actually, only the guildies keep it anyways, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I think it's an interesting discussion to have. Probably shouldn't have to be a full guild, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting to see what will happen in the next tier now that that this behavior goes on. And there are punishments for it that maybe there weren't in the past. And yeah, interesting just to see how things will play out with how more global the regions get. Obviously this doesn't affect top level mythic esports play, but it's good to make sure the policies are consistent across regions. So if there was something questionable happening at the top level, guilds wouldn't be like, oh, if we did this, like we would get a ban, but if another guild did this, they didn't get a ban, and like they got an advantage as a result.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, and I know China is always a bit of an exception because NetEase manages the game, for Blizzard in that region. It's like a distributor. So the policies are a bit different there, but it's good to have them be as close as possible across regions when it actually matters.
Definitely.
Like we have an article going out, I think sometime this week, how like China in the MDI is different, and it's like not different in a bad way, but it's different in the sense where people are like, you watch China MDI for fun and then West MDI to get better, because I think NetEase is offering groups, mounts, and pets to participate in the MDI. So you have like a lot of trying out that maybe you normally wouldn't in the West. And when you look at the like wipes on Raider.io, there's like, it's a bloodbath with all the wipes, but it sounds really fun to watch. But it's funny how they're just like, oh yeah, here's a battle pet, please do MDI. So it's just interesting.
So does that mean that they're less competitive?
I think yeah, I mean, I think that instead of having like an empty spot, you would get a group that's not very competitive stepping up, if they don't do a great job, just to get their pet. While we've seen in the West some people are like, like the money isn't as worth it, or like it's more precise, it's like it's more cutthroat, like do you stream your practices, do you hide the strats, like is it worth sticking with this esport versus another? Maybe not all the spots get filled, but in China it seems more like average people doing the MDI and wiping a lot.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. Like I still remember when they tried out Seed of the Triumvirate in Legion, like for the first time as a surprise, and no one knew what to do, and it just was like wiping all over the place. That's still one I remember because it was fun. It wasn't the same run we've seen like every week done perfectly. But yeah, so for our final topic, and again, as we're doing this, think of any last minute questions you might have.
Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I do try to grab them so that we talk about it as we go on, especially if the questions are relevant to the things that we're talking about. But if there's anything that you want to ask, you can feel free to write it and we'll try to pick them up. Yeah, on to the last topic of the night. Or day.
Yeah.
It's still day 3, right?
Yeah, it is 2:30, even though my body thinks it's 1:30 because of time zone changes. So Blizzard has been putting out lots of job listings and tweets for an unannounced action FPS game that's a PC and console project. The job listings are referencing action, first-person shooter, an online experience. This could be related to Overwatch, but they did say it was an unannounced project.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, the specifying unannounced PC console project.
Yeah, so a lot of people are like, is this like a spin-off of Overwatch 2? Like, it could be a story mission campaign. And a lot of people are also saying, Blizzard has so many unannounced things on its plate. They have 3 Diablo titles in development. There are hints that Warcraft has something mobile in the works. Overwatch 2 has not been announced in forever. Burning Crusade's coming out. Shadowlands is slow. What is there another unannounced game in the mix? And to that, I would say that Blizzard has many unannounced games that they, will kill off if it doesn't seem to have potential. But the other thing is that they did merge in that gaming studio, Vicarious Visions, to work on Diablo 2 Resurrected. So, it could be that they are, finally bringing on a lot more developers and are willing to start, hiring more people to keep up with this increased release demand.
Yeah.
So, what do you think this looks like? Like, do you think it's an Overwatch thing, or do you think it's something else?
I feel like it has to be something else. I don't think they would call Overwatch 2 an unannounced PC or console project. So it feels like it has to be some kind of new game, but I don't see what kind of game it would be, because we haven't seen that many new hype shooter type games lately. So what could it actually be? It's really interesting. Um, we know that Blizzard is amazing at their RPG aspects of things. So are we looking at a shooter game which got a more RPG element to it rather than Overwatch, which is more match based, right? Like you jump in
Mhm.
and then you jump out. Maybe it's a bit shooter but RPG elements. Maybe MMO. Maybe similar to Destiny. I don't know.
I'm reading the comments on Wowhead, and a lot like, oh, placement for Destiny now that
Yeah, I just realized as I was
Destiny
describing it,
has
I was
Horde.
like, wait, maybe kind of like Destiny.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, this will be the not Destiny game to fill that spot on the launcher. So
Mm.
I think that maybe that could be it, that they're trying to fill the Destiny gap.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a lot of Blizzard people liked playing Destiny, and they saw launcher numbers. Maybe some people were there just for that, so they want to
Mm-hmm.
build up a Destiny style game.
Because I do think that, I mean, maybe they make it very different from Destiny, like gameplay wise.
Mhm.
Who knows? But I do think that a shooter RPG is definitely missing from their list of games. So I think that is very, very possible, because they've got Overwatch, but Overwatch is um, not really a game that you sit to play to build your character. So I think this could be it. I think this could be it. Because
Yeah.
we have World of
So
Warcraft, and we have a Diablo as well, you know, both RPG elements, and having like a shooter version of that too, I think it makes sense.
yeah. So let's just hope Blizzard can keep up with the demand, because 2021 is kind of a weird year, and everyone's
Yeah.
just like, oh, we just got off of BlizzConline, where it seemed like nothing was really close to being developed or out the door.
Yeah, I feel like we're not
Um,
gonna hear anything about this for a long time. And like at this point, remember that this is not announced. So they might work on this for 6 months and then decide, you know what, we're canceling this before we even know what it is. So yeah, we'll see.
Something else I wanted to mention that was hiring, that Riot a few weeks ago opened up their hiring for the MMO, and you definitely seen a lot of like Blizzard people being like, eyeballs emoji. And I
Mm-hmm.
think even some people that used to work on WoW have joined up as game developers on the project. So Blizzard may
Oh.
be trying to, make emphasize that they have, lots of projects people can work on to, I don't know, maybe keep people happy or keep them in the company if they want to, work on a different genre. Because I can imagine a lot of people who worked on WoW thinking that, maybe the Riot MMO was like more old school, and they could do like they could do more of their vision over at Riot, or it's like more of the startup vibe versus
Mm-hmm.
the corporate vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see Blizzard definitely thinking about what Riot is doing as they announce hiring and how they present all
Oh
these
yeah.
new
Mm-hmm.
job opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing as well. It looks good to have job opportunities. So, because then
Yeah.
everyone looks at the company and is like, they're hiring. That means the company's doing well. So I think it's definitely a good step in the PR direction as well to make those things public. They know that it will cause some eyeballs and interest from people just based on that. And I think it's a great idea of Riot to pick up people who's worked at Blizzard, not only because, well, a lot of them got laid off and, deserve a place to be, but also because it's a great experience. Like, all those
Mm,
people have been doing exactly probably what Riot needs. So
right.
it's a perfect place for the people to end up at if they did used to work for World of Warcraft, to then work on this new potential MMORPG for Riot instead.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing. And that's a good thing with competition in general. You know, the more options you have, the less of this sort of monopoly where as soon as you lose this one job, there's no other options. But that's a great thing with many successful companies because it means, you know, if one place doesn't work out, you can go to another one. And that's awesome.
Yeah, and many, I mean, obviously, like, shady things can happen with competition, but it seems that at least the employee angle is very positive to each other, you know, congratulating each other when they get a job at a different place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, you've betrayed us by, being hired somewhere else. So it does feel competitive, but also a bit like a community, which is good.
Yeah. I can imagine there being a little bit of competition in between them. But from what I've heard, at least between the Blizzard devs and like the Final Fantasy devs, they're actually very friendly with each other. And you know, the Blizzard devs, you know, give them a few cool things from Blizzard games, and then the other way around, the Final Fantasy people give some of their cool like merch or whatever it could be to the Blizzard people. I've heard there's like really good relationships in between the two dev teams. So I could, I think it's great to have more companies and to keep that community going like that.
Yeah. As you look for questions, I just wanted to highlight something I've seen times Wowhead that's relevant.
You're cutting out quite a bit again.
Did this?
You're using the right microphone, no. So I'm not sure. Maybe there's something else going on. Maybe that your noise cancellation settings in Discord itself.
Test.
So if you make it more sensitive to pick up even lower noises.
Test.
Okay.
Test.
I think
okay.
That's good.
I moved it up like
10%. Too much. Could move it down to like 90 then. Or where was it first?
It was at 85 and now it's at 96. So now it's at 90.
Okay, I think this is good. Wait, so is this volume or noise cancellation?
This is that's volume. Automatically determine input sensitivity. It's just on automatic. I can move input sensitivity up a bit.
Yeah.
Better?
So if you move that up a bit.
Yeah, it automatically had it and I'm 7.
Oh, it's still cutting quite a lot now. Wait, did it become worse?
I have no idea. Like I'm not touching.
Okay, did you move the voice activation to the left or to the right? You're completely gone now.
A test?
So maybe test the other direction.
Test. It's the other direction now.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, so I went back to automatically determine input sensitivity. So.
Okay.
Instead of trying
do you want to try the other direction?
But it didn't seem that I was talking. You didn't say anything, so I think I made it worse.
Yeah, it was worse. I'm wondering if maybe you move it the other direction. But it's not too bad, and maybe it's okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm like a little confused by this, why it's doing that. So
okay, you seem fine now, and then after this we can take a look at your settings to see how it is. Seems okay now.
Yeah. But yeah.
Where were we?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that as you're looking for questions,
mm-hmm.
I wanted just to answer one that I was seeing a lot, and it was like, when is the Wowhead database updated for Burning Crusade? It will be updated when we can access and play the beta. If you're familiar with retail, it works that way, where we can data mine something, and it's like a hectic few hours, and then we have a basic site up. So it will be the same, we think, for Burning Crusade. With some extra time. Not months, but more like, probably a few days here and there to make sure that, like the Thoughtbot comments are converted over and they're polished for the Burning Crusade site, or, the attunement tracker is going to be polished, or the raid comp tool is going to be restructured for Burning Crusade. So, so we're just waiting on that to be up. Because we are an official customer service resource, we're trying to rely on the official data and not use things from non-Blizzard means. So, we're just
Because things
waiting
might
for that
change
beta to
also,
start.
so it's smarter to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And like maybe it's like fine when other people use that, but like if Wowhead's an official resource, and like then it looks bad if Blizzard's recommending a place that's relying on not official data, or people scrutinize it more if they're like, oh well, you're using stats, and like those stats weren't accurate for the exact phase Blizzard is using versus a different place, and it's just more like professional and above the board to wait and then get everything at once. But we appreciate everyone asking when things like the talent calculator or item lists will be up. All that up will be soon whenever they announce the beta.
Yeah. I see a question here, which is any updates on PvP Season 2? I saw on a random WoW site that PvP Season 2 is set for July, August, which would estimate the 9.1 release. You were talking earlier about the 9.1 release potentially being around June, so PvP Season normally starts a week or two into that, so it could potentially be end of June, maybe beginning of July, with that
just
estimation.
to clarify, I don't think they said anything about the esports. Like I don't think they said anything about PvP Season 2, like in-game things that regular people can do. But I think that at BlizzCon there was a slide talking about when the arena esports circuit was going to start up, and I believe that was July,
August? Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's when it was. But Blizzard has not said anything like, in game,
No.
like,
No.
this
No
now
official
going
info.
away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the arena is always different. Like, it takes place over a condensed period of time. It's not exactly lining up with the in-game seasons. Like, MDI Global Finals are April 23rd, but obviously that doesn't mean that the Mythic season in game ends in April too.
Yeah, so the competition dates don't matter and won't affect the seasons in game. I understood the comment that maybe someone had speculated that it's going to be July, August, and it does make sense that it's probably July latest, because of 9.1 being expected to probably be out around June. But there's nothing confirmed or anything like that. These are just speculations from Wowhead here.
Yeah, and that brief slide at BlizzCon talking about some of the esports streams being I think in July. So
another question is, would you support cross-faction PvE to fix the Horde alliance imbalance? We talked about this quite a lot. I'm not sure if it was last show or the show before. But yes, we do think that this might be the only solution really to fix the imbalance, which is becoming pretty severe. More and more guilds are moving for Shadowlands. I play on Ravencrest EU, and 6 out of 10 of the top guilds faction changed to Horde. So it's becoming a serious issue, and I don't think Blizzard can change anything at this point because it's not a balancing issue per se. Like, it's not a game balance issue. At this point, it's become a social issue. So the only way to fix it would be cross-faction PvE.
Yeah, like we've discussed, they could do something like mercenary mode, or using the example of TBC, with Arena coming out, like you can be queued up against people of your own faction. So for competitive things, it's good to have more flexibility, because while you want to preserve the factions and have them have an identity, you don't want the factions to be tainted by a sense of, well, I really don't want to be this faction, but I felt forced into it because I like that activity. Like, that's not good faction identity either.
No, exactly. If you're forced, then it's not an identity choice either. Someone commented the show being at 9 p.m. CET. So yes, the show was an hour earlier for us in Europe because NA has had their daylight savings happen last weekend. So that means in NA, the show was at the same time as usual, but for EU, we were an hour earlier.
Yeah, so for the next few weeks until EU has a time swap, it's going to be at 9 p.m.
Yeah. I think we have ours in a week or two. So soon we'll go back to normal time, but for now it's going to be 9 p.m. And I think that's it. I see a lot of people talking about solo queue arena. I agree. There should be solo queue arena.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are terrified of
plans.
talking to people to create groups, so I think it's nice to be able to jump into something and just make its own ladder kind of thing. March 28th apparently for EU. There you go.
There you go. So that's
end of the month.
Yeah. A few more weeks like this, then we'll be back to normal.
Yeah. So we'll be back to normal time on the 29th then, which lands on a Monday.
I was just looking for Brightpaw to see if he was around for the end of the show, and I don't see him. He's not in his chair.
I think Luna's been sleeping here the entire time. Yeah. I don't think she's moved at all.
Aw.
But yeah, that means that's a wrap up of today's show. So maybe it's time for a high five?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
So, easier to do without a cat in my hand.
Yeah, that's true. All right, you could go for the countdown.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. There it is. Hey. High five. Online, social, activities are much encouraged. And we'll be back next week to talk about whatever is out between now and then. We'll probably have, or well, not probably, but potentially have the TBC beta out by then, so we can talk about that. And if not, maybe we've got some more speculation to discuss. And yeah. Thank you guys very much for watching. Also, a quick shout out to Makan for his 19-month resub and Ruse69 for his new fresh subscription. Welcome to the community and thank you for supporting Wowhead.
Yeah, we really appreciate this.
Yeah, and also random shout out to all the people working at Wowhead, including Perk, for running such an amazing website that we can all use for help, whether it's looking up guides or just looking up an item or looking up a quest bug or, anything. It's always really useful to have everything in one place.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, on that note, enjoy the rest of your week. Let's all hope for... Oh, awesome.
Threnduel with the 5-month resub. Thank you, Threnduel. And on that note, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much for watching. And have a great evening, day, night, morning, whatever the time is where you are. And take care of yourselves.